Hi, welcome to Undead Yarn. This is episode 34. Oh, there I am. And this is take 2. I'm a little concerned that my camera is giving out on this, and this laptop can't be more than a year old, if it's even that. So this is the second time, just like last time, I had to record 2 times. This is my second time recording, and I was almost finished with the whole podcast, and it froze on me, so I don't know what's going on. And I thought it had saved, but it didn't even save. So anyway, this is take 2. Before I get started, I have a lot of thank yous. I want to say thank you to several podcasts who have given away my yarn. I wanted to thank Two Tangled Skeins, The Stockinette Zombies, In a Snit, and Penhook and Needles, and they've all given away skeins of my yarn in the last couple of months, and I appreciate that. And I also wanted to mention some podcasts that have mentioned me and my yarns recently. I wanted to thank Two Knitlit Chicks, Mustache Podcast, and Penhook and Needles. Thank all of you for mentioning me. It always gets a couple more people to come and take a look at my yarns, so I really appreciate that. I have some works in progress, but before I start, I wanted to say that the person who won the Vesper sock yarn has not contacted me yet. It was Jamie Woolcott. I can't remember where she's from, but if you would PM me on Ravelry, I will mail this out to you. I think she was from Alabama, if I'm guessing right. But everybody else has contacted me, and prizes have all gone out. I just mailed the last one today. So this is the only one that's left. And before I go into my works in progress, I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing right now. This is the cowl I wanted to show you guys last week that I made out of my Undead yarn using my pattern Keep It Simple cowl. And this is a worsted weight yarn. I used the Purple Vein colorway, and this is in my worsted weight yarn. You can pull the cowl up for those times when it's very windy, or you can wear it down for the times when you don't need as much coverage. And I kind of like the closer cowls because they tend to keep the wind out better, for me at least, than scarves or the big huge cowls. Even when I double them up, it seems like they don't always come up as high. And I am also happy that I have this cowl because next week I will be going up north to visit family, and it's going to be really cold. To us, the last couple of weeks have been really cold. It's been in 30s through the 50s, and in Texas that's actually pretty cold, but I remember when I used to live up in New York that it's a lot colder up there, so I'm guessing I'm going to be seeing some below 30-degree temperatures. So I'm really glad I have this because this is warm and it's nice and soft. My yarn is a single ply yarn. It's like Malabrigo. It's nice and squishy. And here's what the colorway looks like up close. This one looks, on the worsted weight yarn, it dyed up more kettle dyed because this is not superwash, so it didn't suck up the color quite as much. And I think it's pretty. It's like a lighter colors. So anyway, that is a free pattern on Ravelry. If you need a last minute gift, it's up in about 4 hours. And I will go ahead and put in the modifications I made to use worsted weight yarn because the original pattern that I put out was made with bulky weight yarn. So that's my cowl that I forgot to show y'all last week because I didn't have it. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about my works in progress. Let's see. I've got, first one, I only worked on 2 things. I actually worked on 3, but I only have 2 that I can show you for right now. I worked on the Via Haunt by Martina Bim, and it's grown quite a bit from the last time I showed you guys. Here's the bottom. And it's grown all the way to here. So I still have a ways to go, but this is in Spunky Eclectic yarn. in the Soylent Green colorway, and it's on a lace weight. So I have been keeping this in my Rain Lover Knits bag. It has a drawstring. And my next project that I worked on was something new. I started this when I went to Kid and You. I needed a easy project, and I was looking through my stash and I found that I actually had some Kirby Warby yarn. I think I bought this right after the first mention of her yarn on the Knit Girls, so it's before you couldn't get things. Now she puts stuff up and it's gone in like 2 minutes. Anyway, this is the Playing in the Leaves colorway, and it's on her soft and squishy base with 450 yards, 75% superwash merino, and 25% nylon. And I'm making myself some knee socks. You can see this is where I'm going to put the Afterthought heel in. I'm all the way down to the toe. I'm hoping I can finish these before Thanksgiving, because I would really like to bring them with me next week when I'm going to be where it's really cold. But I love the colors. These are my colors, you know. I love orange and yellow and brown. And they remind me of Thanksgiving. So I'm hoping I will finish those before Thanksgiving. And that's in my Fat Squirrel bag. I really like it. And when I went to Kid and You, I bought a couple of buttons. Here's one of them. I think we've all seen this before. And then here's another one. And one of them I can't find. I misplaced it. I'm not sure where it is, but I thought this was pretty funny. KUI, guilty of knitting under the influence. So those are the two things I've been working on as far as knitting goes. I have other projects. I'm getting to be one of those people that just has a million FOs. Not FOs, I mean UFOs. I have a lot of projects around me that are not completed, but I want to complete them all. I don't have any that I don't want to complete, so I'm not going to frog them. I'm just going to wait until I'm ready to knit them. I am thinking that maybe over the summer I will try to do one of those finish it knit-alongs, because I have more time over the summer. And right now there are so many things that I want to knit, so I'm not going to push myself to do that, especially because I'm also trying to dye for a show. So I'm not going to push myself to take care of all those UFOs right now, but I'm going to try to get rid of some of them, make them finished objects, I mean, next summer. I did have some spinning. I finished the second bobbin of Jinx Yarn Fiber. This is a BFL. And the color is, here's the two bobbins that I'm going to apply together. The color is Summer Days and Summer Nights. And I fractal spun this. This was the long braid, and then this was the little short ones. And I'm planning to apply them together. And I just realized I don't have another bobbin. I do have big bobbin. I guess I could put the jumbo bobbin on and do that. Maybe I'll do that, because that might actually be easier to use. I might be able to do the whole thing at one try on one bobbin if I put on the jumbo bobbin. But I really wish Acrework Designs would make some for the Kromsky. I'd love to try their bobbins out, and they're really pretty, but they don't have them for the Kromsky, and that's the wheel that I have. So I am... Oh, I also wanted to mention that the two ladies from Pen Hook and Needles each gave me a pattern for my birthday. I wanted to say thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Those are they're two patterns that were on my wish list, so they were definitely really wanted. They're like coveted patterns, so thank you very much. I also want to say on that note, I'm hoping that in January after my show, it's like my show is right at the beginning of January. So after that, I'm thinking about doing a shawl along contest. I'm kind of thinking myself that I'm going to knit every shawl I want to next year. Or I probably can't knit every shawl I want to. I don't have enough time, but it may be a year of shawls for me, because I have so many in my queue. And while I do knit sock patterns, my favorite things to knit obviously are socks and shawls, because that's what I show you guys a lot. But I do have a lot of sock patterns that I would like to knit, but I'm finding that I really love vanilla socks, because you can get them done really quickly and you don't have to think, and I kind of have my own vanilla pattern in my mind. It's a lot of fun to do vanilla patterns for the socks. But when it comes to shawls, I really do like to have a pattern. I do have some that I've knit that were plain, but I really like having a pattern in the shawls. I think it makes them prettier and more attractive. So anyway, tangent. Next, I wanted to, I guess we're up to the week in review. 2 weeks ago was the Kid and You Festival, and that's in Boerne, Texas. And Elizabeth from Dark Matter Knits and I drove down together. And we met up with Summer from the Kitchen Stitches podcast and one of her friends, and we went to eat, and I'm trying to remember the name of the place. I want to call it Dog and Duck, but I know that's not right. I think it's got the word duck in its name. It's one of the restaurants that most people usually go to. And the interesting thing was that they had an antelope burger, so I ate it. It was really good. And they also have their own beers. And the reason I'm thinking that duck is in the name, because I remember they had like a lot of duck jokes on the menu, and one of their beers was named after, like, had the name duck in it. So I don't remember what it is, but I will tell you that if you do go to Kid and You for Boerne ever, you should definitely take time out to go to lunch off-site. It's a small town, so it's not crowded. The restaurants, every restaurant I've eaten at there was really, really excellent. So I would recommend trying out the food if you ever go out there for the festival. The festival was bigger than I remembered. There were 3 barns. There were some animals. We saw some goats. They were so cute because they, I forget what kind of goats they are. I want to say mohair, but I don't know if that's right. They had long curly locks, and they were really cute, and they were about the size of a dog. I can see why people would want to keep them. They were so cute. So they had those, but we didn't really see a lot of animals, except when we visited Knitting Rose, she had Lise and her husband, they had their dogs there with them. So that was nice. Their dogs were very sweet. We also saw Buffalo Wool Company was there with their van. It's kind of a neat thing that they have to travel around in. And we talked to Paula Podlasek, who does all those Legendary Knits books that I've shown you. I love her patterns, and she also dyes yarn. Talked to Lone Star Arts, and I got one of her skeins of yarn. It's a purple merino tencel blend, and I will try to, let's see if I can find a picture of it. Sad thing is that I only bought 2 skeins of yarn, but I don't know where I put them. I put them away so good I can't find them. I should have just shoved them in I have a little basket I use for the podcast. I should have just put it in there because it would have been easier for me to find it. But anyway, here is the color of the yarn. It's beautiful. It's like an orchid purple. She had one that she had posted on Instagram that I was looking for, and when I saw it, it was more pink than purple, and I really wanted a purple, so I picked that one instead. I think that'll be nice to work with tencel. I may own some tencel skeins, but I have not knit with it yet. I really like the sheen of it, though. And then, of course, I had to get, because Mustache was there. Stacy was there in the morning. Stacy and Diane from Suburban Stitcher were in the booth in the morning. And then when we went back in the afternoon, Steph from Mustache was also there with her friend. And I can't remember if her friend is, I think it might be her sister-in-law. But she was there with a friend, and I've seen her before. I think her name is Candice or Camden, something like that. But I sat and knit, and we talked for a while. But I got a skein of Mustache Dark Side of the Moon. You'll have seen that Diane of Suburban Stitcher has already knitted up, and it's the yarn that the Yarn Harlot picked out when she was at Arkansas Fiber Arts Extravaganza. So I was really happy to get a skein of that. I'm probably going to make socks with it. I love to make socks, and I think that'll be fun. And that one I definitely don't need a pattern. It looks gorgeous all by itself. So it was nice to see everybody. I had a good time. We ended up staying longer than we thought because there were so many people to talk to. And we drove back, and it started getting dark, and it was windy roads, but we made it back. And then last weekend, my husband and I went to what's called the East Austin Studio Tour, and that was a lot of fun. Austin has a lot of artists. It's known as the live music capital of the world, but it also attracts a lot of people who are into the arts. And we went to several studios that they had open, and we saw different kinds. We saw a lot of paintings, but we also saw a lot of mixed media. We saw sculptures. We saw a guy who makes jeans, which is really cool. We talked to him for a long time because it was really interesting that somebody was making jeans from scratch and selling them. Excuse me. So, what else did we see? Oh, some of the local people who have restaurants were there serving food. We ended up going to the French Legation Museum at the beginning, and that was interesting. I didn't really know what it was, but they have like a history of when the French first came to Austin, and apparently there was a pig war between Bob Bullock, and funny, the Bob Bullock Museum is here too, between Bob Bullock and a Frenchman, and I forgot his name now because I didn't take a picture or anything. I forgot his name, but they actually argued a lot, and they tried to pass laws against each other over Bob Bullock had lots of pigs, and they would wander onto this other guy's property and destroy his property, and it was just really interesting and it talked about, you know, how the museum was built and everything. And when we went there, they had breakfast. So, of course, you know, they have regular breakfast tacos, but they also had these sweet potato tamales that were spicy, and they were really good. I should have found out where they came from. But that was fun. And Anthony saw some of his friends, some people he knows from work or from in the past that had studios there, so that was kind of neat. We really have a good time going to those shows. I didn't buy anything, and I don't think he did either. But I am actually drinking some ZT. It's ZHI, and it's actually I think it's made in Austin. The company is in Austin, so I'm guessing it's made in Austin. I'm not sure if, you know, I don't know how they do it, but there's 2 places that make their own tea that are independent in Austin. So I'm actually drinking some of their Sencha green tea that I got during one of the other East Austin studio tours. They weren't on the list, but when I saw them, I had heard of them, so I went in and got some tea. That was neat. And then I don't remember what we did on Sunday. Probably stayed in and died. I've been trying to catch up on dyeing. I'm trying to do a lot of dyeing. Oh, and I want to talk about what I've been watching. Actually, what I finished watching. I finished watching the originals, and that was really good. I enjoy that. I wish I could start the new season, but I want to start it from the beginning, and I don't think that they have season 2, episode 1 on Netflix yet. Not Netflix, but on the website anymore, because I think the way that they work now is they put up 5 and then the next 5 and the next 5. I don't think they leave the whole season up there for you. And we're also still watching Sons of Anarchy season 6. Oh, the Irish and the Sons equals not good. I won't say any more, but if you're watching it, I'd love to hear what you think about the season. Oh my gosh, it's so creepy. And I'm also watching Lost Girl season 4. I think I've talked about that before. It's a really interesting take on fairies, and it has werewolves and trolls and all kinds of other supernatural beings in it. I really enjoy the characters, and I think it is on the Sci-Fi Network, so I would consider it fantasy, but it's probably like a science fiction fantasy show. It's a lot of fun, but it's not for kids, so don't watch it with your children because the main character is a succubus. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. I'm not going to tell you right here. But basically, not child-friendly. Good, it's still going. I think this is about the time it froze last time. I'm not going to jinx it. Okay, what I'm reading, I finished The Magician King, and I really love it. I wanted to go out and get the next one right away, but the library, all the at least all the audio stuff. I wanted to listen to it on audio because I like to listen in the car. They're all gone, so I have it on request, so I couldn't get it right away. But that one I'm definitely going to be reading really soon. And then I finished North and South finally, and I'm glad I did. I love the ending. It's not your typical romantic ending, but it was very pleasing, and I loved it. So if you like classic literature, I would recommend listening to Craft Lit. I also would recommend the book North and South if you haven't read it. I'm going to go and look. I think that they have a version of North and South on Netflix that now that I've finished listening to the book, I'd like to go and watch it. And I have a book that I've been kind of reading off and on for a couple years because it's short stories, so I kind of read one in between books. 1 or 2 little short stories in between books. This is Knitting Yarns by Anne Hood, and I don't like all of the stories in here because some of them are about people who aren't really knitters, and I'm more interested in, you know, the people who are really knitters and what they think and what they've done. And I'm also finding out that the authors that I've already heard of that I like tend to have the better stories. But there have been a couple of writers in here that I really enjoyed their story, so I went and looked for their regular novels and have added some of those to my Goodreads list. So I'm guessing, you know, there's one of the podcasts that I listen to that's just about books that I learned about from the 2 Knit Lit Chicks. I think it's Books on the Nightstand, that they have been recommending people read short stories, and I normally don't like them because I feel like I don't get into the characters enough. I always feel like something's left waiting. But the nice thing about reading these is that it's introduced me to some authors I might not have otherwise looked up. So that's kind of neat. So maybe reading short stories is kind of a good idea if you just want to try out some new authors, or you want to try out some people like short stories. They don't like to read longer stories. So if you don't mind flipping through this and back and forth, I would recommend it. I gave it 3 stars, but that's because there were several stories that I really didn't care for. But there are several that are really good and very interesting, and like the way they write, that's really what gets me with some of these stories. It's not just the content of what they're writing about, but the way they describe things and the way they talk about things is really good. So I'm not sure what my next book is going to be. I really wanted to do the next Magician one, but I have to wait, so I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. If you guys have suggestions, let me know. I did want to say, I already did tell you that Jamie Wolcott is the one who has not contacted me yet. And I do want to let you know that I do have a new colorway, and unfortunately, again, I'm telling you, I have been dyeing so much stuff. I have stuff everywhere. Let me look up the picture. My new colorway for Christmas is just going to be available now during the Christmas season, and probably through the beginning of the year, because it is a wintry colorway. I might keep it up in January, but it's called Snow Miser. You know, the other one was Heat Miser. It's called Snow Miser, and this one is self-striping. Here's what it knits up like. There's natural and light blue and dark blue self-striping, and I will show you what it looks like in the skein. I'm taking these pictures off Instagram. One thing I have to say about my new phone, you can see I'm looking at my new phone, is that the camera on this is amazing. So if you're going to upgrade, I'm guessing the iPhone 6 probably has it too. The camera is so much better than the previous ones. There, you can kind of see it. See, it's natural and dark blue and light blue, and it's actually on my sparkle base, and I called it my Twilight base because I have a thing for Twilight. I kind of like the sparkly vampires. I like the creepy ones too, but I like the sparkly ones. I think I just have a soft spot because I really like the stories. I do. I'm one of those people. Yep. Anyway, this is a self-striping, and it's on my new sparkle base called Twilight. If you go to my website, you'll be able to see a better picture of it. I'm I'm so happy. It looks like I have actually been able to finish the whole podcast and the camera didn't go out, so that's wonderful. I will see you guys soon, so get busy knitting or get busy dyeing.